So today we're going to take a look at the Star Wars Rebels Kanan Jarrus and Darth Vader electronic duel figures by Hasbro. So these are very, very detailed figures here, guys. And I don't know if I should actually call them figures because there's not too much articulation to these guys. But there is some very interesting details on each one of these guys. So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. All right, guys. So we're going to get a look at Vader here real briefly. We're going to get a look at the articulation on him, which is not very much. We're also going to take a look at the various features and the design of this particular style of Vader, which again is off of the McQuarrie original drawings for the character, or based off of those drawings at least. So starting off with articulation here, again, not very much to go with here. Right here in the wrist area on this hand, you do get a decent range all the way around with the wrist, so you can do various poses, or there's certain ways that you can display him with that particular hand. So that's very nice there. However, you don't get any articulation here in the elbow on either arm. Your range of motion with the saber hand is limited as well. You only get that much of a turn going that way, and then that much. So there's only a few ways that you can position the saber to have him hold it, and you're somewhat limited there as well. And then also, he doesn't really hold his arm up too well if you're just keeping him in the display. So more than likely, that's probably going to be your best pose coming out of the display. Perhaps maybe you can get him to at least go as far as that, but the arm is really not going to hang for you or stand up for you the way that you want it to, unless perhaps there's some way that you can tighten the screws that keep the arm, keep the motion of the arm. But then again, you would probably have a problem getting this up, back and forth. And then also it would mess with the other features of the figure that we're going to get to in a short minute. So going over the garment for Vader, this right here is all made of rubber, as well as the belt. All of the electronics on the belt are painted on, as well as the belt buckle itself. This piece right here, again, all rubber, and the electronics are all painted on there as well. This rubber piece that I spoke of goes all the way up to the cape. The cape itself is a thin material, not a bad material, but I do like the way that it hangs off of the figure. It just has a very good likeness of the character, the Rebels character itself. And I think Hasbro did a very good job of translating that character here into this form for this particular item. So yeah, very good job by Hasbro on that. And then one other piece of note is his chest plate here. The design, which I always loved about this character. I believe it's very reminiscent of Anakin's original plate when he was with the Jedi. So again, a very nice touch to the design of this McQuarrie style of Darth Vader. So let's get a look at what Vader is capable of electronically. So looking at the electronics, in order to activate the saber, to get the saber lit up, and let me back him up here. I don't want to lose him on the camera. So in order to get the electronics activated, you need to squeeze the leg. That activates the saber. And then with every squeeze of the leg, Vader comes to life, or at least the saber comes to life. All right, so here we're going to get a look at Kanan. So again, looking at the articulation, you get the same range of motion with the hand there. Then the same with the saber with Vader there and there. Of course, again, Hasbro did a very, very good job of translating the animated Kanan here and with this item. So You get a very good likeness, very good detail as well with Kanan. You get his side, his shoulder pad right there with his insignia on there. And obviously this is Kanan pre-blinding by Maul. So you have to go back to Rebels Season 1 and 2 if you're thinking about this version of Kanan. Again, a very impressive item, even with detail. Now his blaster on the side does not come out, unfortunately, but they do give you a lot of decent detail with it. I mean, there's not a bunch of different paint apps and no silver or anything in it, but for what this figure is, I think that's pretty good right there. But again, unfortunately, that blaster does not come, is not removed. So, and then, you know, he has his little comm there. He's got all of his belt pieces and everything there. So again, they did a very good job of translating the animated version of Kanan to this figure. So getting a look at Kanan's electronics here, we're gonna, again, you would squeeze the legs together, activates the sword. Again, you get the battle sounds, very similar to Vader. So obviously what you would want to do with these two figures, if you got them, this is what they're built to do, to duel. So let's get these guys dueling here, right? You know, we don't want to knock Vader's ship out off into space like they did in A New Hope. Vader's ship is gone. I have the sabers lit. I think he took Vader's arm off about 10 times now. Alright guys, so there you have it. There is your Kanan and Vader electronic dueling Hasbro figures. I do enjoy them, depending on, you know, what your intentions are with these figures. If you're looking for an action figure, this is obviously not going to be what you're looking for. If you're into the McQuarrie style of Vader, and I think this is a very good representation of that. And then the bonus would be the electronic features of the figure. The retail cost on these is about 19 bucks or $20. So for $20, I think you're getting a pretty decent figure, especially if, again, you like that style of Vader. And then if you're a Rebels fan like I am, Kanan is not a bad addition to Vader. Again, these two did meet in Rebels, so you do have that going for you when you're displaying these two figures for your collection purposes. And then, of course, as a kid's toy, I think it's very, very good for your kids. It could be a lot of fun. Again, the price is pretty decent, about 19 bucks or 20 bucks here. So I don't think you're doing bad, especially if your child is a fan of Rebels. So there you have it with these two guys here. We're going to do a quick comparison of the McQuarrie style of Vader versus the New Hope version of guys. So again, I wanted to do a comparison in the contrast of the two styles of Vader. First, starting off, you have to remember that this version of Vader is, if I'm not mistaken, and anyone can correct me down in the comments if I'm incorrect about this, but I want to say that this version of Vader is about 10 to 15 years after the Clone Wars, Vader in his prime basically, and then this Vader is a little bit older. I want to say closer to 20 to 30 years after the events of the Clone Wars. So obviously there's going to be some huge differences in between the two characters, starting off with again, this version of Vader is based off of the original drawings that were done by Ralph McQuarrie, which again is actually my favorite style of Vader, because you get the slender mask here. You have the helmet that basically just overflows the mask, almost as if the mask is hidden inside of the helmet. And then you have a widow's peak style of lip right here to the helmet that just gives it that extra menacing look of Vader right there. And then again, this being the Vader in his prime, obviously you're getting a more fit and thinner Vader as opposed to his older counterpart, who is much older and obviously has put on a little bit there, just a little bit. But I just wanted to really focus on what the concept of Vader was, what he started out to be, and what we actually got in A New Hope. And another point of note and emphasis here, and I did forget to mention this earlier, he has the red lenses here, which again is accurate to the Rebels cartoon, where here the tint is darker. It's a much darker tint, not the red lenses that you get here. So again, if you're a fan of the McQuarrie style of Vader, you would like to have a decent display of that in your display case, I think this is, for the price point, I think you're winning 100%. Now again, you're not going to be able to pose him very well. There's not a lot of articulation with him, so you know that is one downfall of it. All right, guys. So thank you very much for watching the video. I really appreciate it, and we're going to get a 360 spin of all of these guys up here. There's your Kanan Jarrus, and then of course we have our Darth Vader, and of course you guys know with this mask, I'm sure you've seen the reviews on this mask where the voice changer is not all that great. As you can tell, I don't even know if you guys can actually hear me, but we'll see. So coming back around, that is the Hot Toys New Hope version of Darth Vader. Just to compare the two different styles of Vader. And there you go, that's the New Hope version. And then of course, we have the McQuarrie version right here. Very nice video. So, there you have it, folks. We have the two different versions of Darth Vader. We have Kanan Jarrus. So thank you again guys for watching the video, and may the Force be with you always.